work an old one down. The dream of me and you and us still hanging around.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode 4 of Be the Wellness podcast. We are still in Costa Rica, our last day here, and getting ready for our not so long travel day tomorrow, but that's what's up.
So I guess we'll jump right into some questions and talk a little bit about what folks are supposed to do for this week off and a little bit of info on the prep week. And then we'll be right back at it before you know it. So first question someone asked is if Unveil Your Wellness will continue after the year is up. And the short answer is yes, it will. Our plan is definitely to keep growing and, increasing the wellness picture for the long run. We're not sure exactly what that'll look like, to be honest, and we suspect that it'll really change and grow, and we will modify the program based on what we learn and the feedback and where wellness goes in the future and how we can sort of chase the trends and things that are starting to become more obviously important in the wellness world and how we can include that in the program. So anyhow, yes, the program will continue. We just only have the option to sign up for a year at a time. So for folks out there who haven't done that, I encourage you to do so, and then you can get the best price on the program, but you can also be with us for the long haul.
Yeah, it really is a heck of a deal.
Yes.
And the thing that I think will probably change the most is sort of the delivery of our content here. This is one of the things that we're just continuing to learn from all the great feedback we're getting from you guys, is how we can communicate our plan in a way that makes more sense. I mean, it's pretty easy for us in a vacuum to say, oh, well, this is what we mean, and because we know exactly what we mean, but when we put it out there in the short format in the app and you guys pick it apart, it's really good. So we'll just continue to fine tune and
right.
all those things.
Use your
forward.
feedback to further discover how to make it more concise and get the message delivered in the clearest way possible.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the jam. It's that the question is always, how can I make this more clear? Like,
yes.
What would this be more helpful if it was like this? And yeah, you guys are doing a great job of saying yes, no, or no. The whole concept is bad. Try this instead, which is good.
Yeah, we are listening, and that's the cool part of this, is it really is an organic experience. So as you guys have, feedback and information that you share with us, we take that into consideration and we make tweaks, and it's really cool that we are able to do that pretty much in real time.
Yeah, again, Marco and Ben are awesome. The Vimify platform is awesome, and we're just going to keep making it better.
Yes, absolutely.
So one of the other questions, which is actually, these have all been really good questions this go around. Not the last time wasn't, but these ones are especially good. The bestest so far. And so to jump in there, reps for body weight exercises. So the question came across more or less like, what should I be shooting for on these days that says, maximum reps until form failure? Like, what's kind of a goal for that? And so I wanted to give just a little bit of background on the purpose behind the accessory work, because that's generally where you're going to find that kind of stuff. And really what the accessory work is there to do is to complement the strength work by adding a little bit more volume and for a kind of a hypertrophy or actual muscle mass, muscle size kind of a goal, and a little bit of strength endurance, which just tends to complement this kind of strength and conditioning that we're doing in the winter months. So it's really there to complement the strength work, and so there's kind of a higher volume thing that we're looking for, and ideally we want people to hit around 50 total repetitions of each movement. So that's split up across however many sets, right? So 50 total reps. Right. So for instance, if it was 4 sets of max reps, you should choose a version of the exercise. So let's use push-up, for example. So if you're doing elevated push-ups and you can't quite hit 50, then you should continue to do the elevated push-ups. But if you've moved on to something else and you can hit, say, 30 push-ups total at that version, then go ahead and bump back up to the elevated push-up and get your extra 20 in for a total of 50, if that makes sense.
Right. So I think you might have said elevated push-up twice, but the bottom line is if you can do the more difficult version for as many reps as possible, then you can bump it back to the less difficult version to finish out the rep scheme.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That is the goal.
Yeah. And for those of you who can't do 50 reps and you're going, listen, I'm doing the simplest version of the exercise possible and I can't hit 50 reps, don't worry about it. Do your best, do as much as you can, and that's enough. And each week on week, you will, before you know it, you'll build up to being able to hit the maximum amount of reps that's prescribed. Don't worry about it.
Yep, absolutely. That's precisely correct.
Yes. So the next one was about tempo training. You want to hit that one too?
Sure. So tempo training is the concept of having a specific tempo to the movement. So let's say with the squat, you would take 2 seconds maybe to descend into the bottom of the squat and pause for 1 second at the bottom of the squat, and then take 2 seconds to return to the top, and then rest or take 1 second at the top before you start the next one. That would be considered a 2-1-2-1 tempo. That's a great tool. The tempo training is a really good way to fine tune and tweak some strength and conditioning stuff once the simplicity of just doing the movement stops working. So one of the things that I think people tend to, this sort of trap that people tend to fall into, especially if they're working with a trainer, is that they go complex before they need to. And because, as a trainer, doing 5x5 for months on end is relatively boring. So you want to switch something up and make it, a little bit more complex and use all the skills that you learned in whatever, program you took to learn how to be a trainer. And so we're probably not going to get into that because I think that for the most part, we're varying the exercises enough that we're probably not going to need to dive into the tempo training to add the complexity. However, if you enjoy that, if you are following a program that uses a tempo training component and you want to do it, then of course it's not going to be contraindicated. It's just not something that we're going to jump into. For folks just to have maybe a 30,000 foot view of it, one of the points there is to change the time under tension. So the more time you spend under tension in the exercise, the more muscle you recruit, the more damage you do, and in theory, the more hypertrophy or muscle diameter gain you get out of each individual exercise. Right. So for what we've got going on in March, and I guess we're done with this month. So what we have going on in March, that actually works. So if you like I said, if it's something that you enjoy and you want to keep doing your tempo training, that's great through March. When we get into April, we'll probably want to switch it up. Right. And we can address that when we get there. Right.
And then conversely, in terms of if you're not doing any tempo training, you're not interested in that, we would like to say that, it is important to keep a pretty consistent pattern in your movement. So whereas Adam's talking about, 2 seconds down, holding for 1 second, 1 second up, holding, and returning on the rest of the movement, for the most part, we just really want you to have a clean, smooth movement from top to bottom. So if it's a squat, you're taking the same amount of time to get to the bottom of the squat as you are to return to the top of the motion. So, for the most part, for all intents and purposes, if you follow that for your timing, you'll be right on. And that's really what we're looking at for most of you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just nice, smooth, controlled movement with no deliberate pausing anywhere.
Right.
Except maybe at the top to catch your breath or to get another big belly breath of air or something for bracing. But that's the deal.
Right, cool. So, awesome. Next one, sets and reps.
Yeah, so we had another great question. Some people paying very close attention to the programming astutely noted that there are some differences in the sets and reps once we start getting into the Olympic lifts, specifically the clean. If you remember back to, I think, day before yesterday, we had clean as the primary strength, and for the body weight option and the barbell and dumbbell clean pull, there was a standard 4 sets of 8 repetitions. But for the power clean and the clean, we showed 8 sets of 4 repetitions. It's the same number of total reps, but the Olympic lifts are very taxing on the central nervous system. So we want to switch up and go with more sets of fewer reps to allow for more recovery in between efforts. And so, no, it's not a typo. It is supposed to be that way, and it's I think you'll find very nice to have that extra little bit of rest in there once you start getting into the more central nervous system intensive exercise.
Yeah, and with that said, that's kind of something interesting that we might just want to cover for folks. This idea of the workouts not just being about muscles and what your muscles are doing, but what is it doing to the central nervous system. And this is a really important part of the workouts and how we prescribe them, because it's not just about, tearing down muscle tissue to build new muscle. It's about how is this reformatting your body from the top to the bottom. How is it rewiring and helping it to communicate in a better way so that it can fuel your movements better? So, it's not just necessarily about flexing and, grinding through the motions. It's about what's happening at a really intense systemic level.
Yeah, absolutely. The neurons that fire together wire together, is the saying in, I don't know, in some circle.
In some really cool circles.
Some really cool
that we
circles.
hang out with.
These really smart people we hang out with sometimes. But yeah, no, what Vanessa's saying is exactly right. The central nervous system component is a significant part of this training, and it's really something we're going to dive deeply into next month with our proprioception. You guys are going to be tired of hearing that word, just like you're probably tired of hearing sleep.
Yeah.
It's going to be proprioceptioned out next month with a bunch of cool stuff for improving hand-eye coordination and balance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we're really excited actually about this, and we've been really blown away by how receptive you guys have been to the focuses that we've put into the program. So, this month was really focused around sleep, which wasn't necessarily really new news from the 21-day, but we also added in that mindfulness component, and we're just so thrilled how wonderfully everyone's responded to it, because sometimes people push back a little bit when you ask them to meditate, or you ask them to take a time out, or, focus on just calming down. That's kind of antithetical to the pace of our natural life. So we really appreciate that you guys were so receptive, and it sounds like you're getting a lot of really great biofeedback in your lives from that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's super cool that everybody's, willing.
Yes.
Seemingly outwardly willing. We'll see, well, when we get back into the back end analytics with the app, and then we can really go through and find out whether you really swiped things. There's like a mind reading component to it. That's like, I swiped this with animosity, or like lovingly swiped. So we'll report back on that.
Yeah, you guys didn't know about that part, but that is some back end shenanigans. All right, so let's see what else we pretty much talked about. Oh, okay. One other thing, what can folks do for next week, for the off week?
Good call. That is a great question, and we have a little bit of a change up. So, and I guess we should talk about this too, just in case, for people who are subscribed, so meaning that you paid for a season or a full year, you still need to join the next challenge.
Right.
So you won't have to pay for it. You just have to go in and click join to actually to get into it. So just make sure you do that before the end of the prep week so that you can get on board with that. And if you have any questions, you can email through the app. But we added a prep task that's called Get to Know the Exercises, and it pretty much lays out anything out of the ordinary that we're introducing next month. So you can spend this week kind of getting used to what's going on. You can, at your leisure, practice some of the things so that they're not totally mysterious when they pop up. And it's a good time for you to ask us some questions and get that stuff squared away so that we can be all on the same page when the stuff pops up in the daily workouts and whatnot.
Right, and for folks who are coming brand new into this month, perhaps they're coming from the 21-day that just wrapped, or new folks out there that have been referred by friends and family, definitely review the exercises, get acquainted with them, get comfortable with them, and ask any questions during this prep week to get clarification on anything that you're stuck on.
Yeah, it'll just help moving forward so that we can do that.
Definitely.
So all those exercises are there. And then as far as what to do for this next week, you can, if you don't want to think about it too much, you can just go back and repeat all the same exercises that you did last week. You can go back through the app and look at them all and do all that stuff. You just can't change your scores or anything. Or you can absolutely take a rest/recovery week and just go out and do your daily walks and get in some, basic, I don't know, rest and recovery kind of stuff, some low intensity yoga, some stuff like that, just to kind of chill out. That is 100% acceptable as well. And then the third, another option is to follow these workout circuits that I'm posting. So I posted one today, and I will post another on Wednesday and another on Friday that are just, they're just a basic circuit that is going to systematically introduce you to all of the new movements for the month.
Right. And we encourage you guys to really, step out of your comfort zone this week too. Maybe try something new if you've been thinking about taking up a new practice or try a new sport or, do anything. Take this time where you're not trying to cram these workouts in and make sure that you hit everything that's prescribed. You have an opportunity to go out and try something new.
Yeah, use some of this fitness that you're developing,
Yes.
Some of this athleticism, go out and put it to work, hopefully doing something other than shoveling snow.
Yeah, which we know most of you are still doing, so we apologize. It's almost over.
Yeah. Seemingly.
Kind of almost over.
That's what we hear anyway. I don't know. It's actually snowing in Southern California right now, which is weird. But
yes, that is weird.
Yeah.
Just in time for our return.
Yep.
So, okay, well, I think that pretty much covers the questions that we had this week. Keep them coming, you guys. If you have more questions that you'd like us to go over on the podcast, make sure to indicate that in the feed as well. And then also, we just want to close out the month by just thanking you again, congratulating you all on a job well done, and just really, really want you to know that we appreciate from the bottom of our hearts that you're here on this journey with us. We know there's a lot of places you can be and a lot of things that you could be doing, and we really, really appreciate and are so grateful that you recognize this as a special little community and are really bringing your best intention and best energy and a whole lot of love for each other to the table. It's really, really so sweet. So thank you again. If you are enjoying it and are going to continue going with us, once again, we recommend that you sign up maybe for a season or a year so you can get that better discounted price. And if you love it, please share it with your friends and family. We want to keep growing this community and this movement as a whole. So
yeah, cool people only though.
Yes.
No haters.
No haters. You wouldn't anyway.
No haters out there.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. We'll see you next week. And this week, have a great week off.
All right, peoples. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Put up a new balloon today. Took an old one down. The dream of me and you and us still hanging around. I wanted that ring, I wanted that dress, I wanted everything and nothing less. You were so strong and I held on so tight.